Good morning. We're going to talk about deal structure today. I'm coming to you Wednesday because I typically do these on Fridays, but Friday I'm going to be racing cars. Actually, it'll be test day, track day. So if you don't know, I'm a 24 hours of lemons race car driver. Um, Basically, we drive piece of shit cars for 2 days to make sure that they cross the finish line, and really that's the definition of success is crossing the finish line. And that's a big goal for us this time because last time we raced, we didn't cross the finish line. We had a lot of trouble, so we're hoping that things go better for us. So I'm going to answer a couple questions around deal structure. Deal structure is something that if you're selling your company and you get an LOI, letter of intent, somebody wants to buy your company. A lot of times people go to the price. They get excited. Like, oh, let's say I'm making 10 million bucks. Say I'm selling my company for 10 million bucks. Woohoo! And it's the structure of the deal that really matters. Like if I told you that, hey, a $5 million offer might be stronger than a $10 million offer, you'd be like, whoa, you're crazy. But a lot of it comes down to this deal structure and the terms. So we're going to talk about five things related to deal structure real quick here. So what's a good deal look like? That's question number one. One where everybody wins and everybody feels like things, they got, I'd say, the majority of what they wanted. In most deals, not everybody's going to get what they want. So you as the seller, that's who I work with, sellers. What's a good deal look like for you? Well, probably one where you don't have a long earnout. You're not leaving a lot of money on the table. You're getting as much money as you want up front. And you feel like things were fair at the end of the transaction. Like to me, that's what a good deal looks like. Next question, cash versus terms. What's better? Well, it depends on what's important to you. Some businesses are selling because we're at the end of a career, and that owner is going to, cash flow stream that they're getting from the business on a day-to-day basis is going to go away. And so some of the terms that they may want is they may want to do an owner finance so that they have a security blanket in there. They're getting guaranteed payments every month, right? So cash versus terms. Me, I always like cash today versus later. It's more valuable today. So that's another, it depends on where you are and what your risk appetite is. Do you want to leave some equity in the company and re-up? Are you selling to private equity and you're going to be required to do so, but you get, so and so, what I call kind of another bite at the apple. What are typical deal terms? It really varies based on industry. So if you're a software company, you're probably going to have a really high multiple. You're going to be able to get out pretty quickly. You're not going to have an earnout where you have to stick around. If you're an insurance company where a lot of the relationships are dependent upon the person, or a lot of service businesses are dependent upon the person selling, you may have an earnout. An earnout means that you're going to get part of your compensation at closing, probably a smaller chunk, and then it's going to be tied to the retention and or growth of your book of business that stays with the new company. I don't like earnouts, but a lot of times they're necessary, and it's just something you got to watch out for. How do you negotiate price? Whew, that's a tough one. Read the book. Oh gosh, I'm having a hard time with it right now. It's by Chris Voss. Never Split the Difference. It's a great book on negotiation. It's a great book on negotiation. Um, I feel like the best place to negotiate is when you're in a like you don't have to sell. You don't have to sell. If you're in control, which you are, when you're selling your company, unless you have investors who are driving the sale, you're in the driver's seat. You don't have to accept the offer. And having that mindset and being like, hey, it's okay if this transaction doesn't work, if it's not a bullseye for me, it gives you that strength and that helps you negotiate the price in your transaction. Okay. Last question. What kills most deals? I feel like momentum kills most deals. Momentum in the due diligence process, when particularly if there's investors involved, they got to deploy capital, they're capital allocators, that's their job. They may get cold feet through the process. Wishy-washy sellers also kill deals. So, it could be the buyer or the seller. I mean, it's going to be one of the parties that kills the deal. A seller who doesn't have all their ducks in a row and is hard to get information from and things like that, the people that are looking at buying the company can take that as a signal that either something's broken that they're going to find, or that the operation isn't worth what they initially offered for it. So I would just say inertia and momentum kills a lot of deals. At the bigger scale, you talk about government types of things, but that's not who I'm serving. That's not who I'm talking to in this video. So I would say the majority of things just is momentum in the deal. Questions or comments, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next week. See ya.